This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Europe slapped import tariffs on Chinese EVs to try and slow them down, but Chinese EV market share is nearly back to its pre-tariff levels. It reached a record 11.1% in June of last year, but that soon tumbled after the EU imposed tariffs as high as 35% on Chinese-made EVs. Yet this June, their market share recovered to 10.6% according to Dataforce. Overall, Chinese brands registered just under 22,000 EVs in Europe in June, up 14% from a year ago. Not surprisingly, BYD is the top Chinese brand, with over 9,100 registrations in June. MG followed with 6,600, but then it's a big drop to Xpeng in third, which registered 1,700 EVs. Uh-oh, is this a sign Europe's economy could be in trouble? Sales of commercial vehicles tumbled in the first half of the year. According to the European Automobile Manufacturers Association, or ACEA, commercial van sales were down 13% and medium and heavy-duty trucks dropped about 15%. But there was one bright spot. Bus sales were up 4%. And while ICE was down, commercial BEV and PHEV sales were up strong. Electric vans were up 47%, electric trucks increased by 48%, and EV buses were up 38%. In the U.S., commercial EV sales are going strong too. According to S&P Global Mobility, electric Class 3 through 8 vehicles soared 274% to just under 25,000 units for a one-year period that ended at the end of May. Class 2 EVs also saw a big gain, up 69% to more than 417,000 units. Meanwhile, passenger EV registrations totaled more than 694,000 units, down 2% over the same time period. Oil production is on the rise. Exxon's global oil and natural gas output reached the equivalent of 4.6 million barrels a day, which is more oil than it has produced in any second quarter since it acquired Mobil 25 years ago. And Chevron's production in the second quarter was up 3% to an all-time high of 3.4 million barrels a day. That increase helped the oil giants beat estimates from Wall Street analysts who expected lower earnings due to slumping oil prices. Stellantis is shaking up its design department under new CEO Antonio Filosa. The company previously had two chief designers, one in North America and another in Europe. But now it will have one chief design officer, a role that was given to Ralph Gilles, and then regional design heads who will operate under Gilles. Last week it announced that Gilles Vidal will head up regional design in Europe, and it just revealed that Scott Kruger will be in charge of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in North America. Kruger has been with the company for 24 years and most recently managed all exterior design for Dodge and SRT. Both regional designers will work closely with Ralph Gilles, but they report directly to the chief operating officer of the respective regions. And we'll note that Antonio Filosa is also the COO of North America. While a number of battery makers have been making headlines recently, CATL actually grew its global share of EV batteries slightly through the first 5 months of the year. It now controls just over 38% of that market, an increase of just over 0.5%. So it's not surprising that CATL also reported an increase in its battery shipments in its first half results. It shipped a little over 150 gigawatt hours of batteries through June, an increase of about 9.5%. That helped the company generate just over $25 billion of revenue, up over 7%, and finish with a net profit of roughly $4.2 billion, an increase of about 33%. While EV batteries still make up over 70% of CATL's total sales, it also expanded into other areas like stationary storage and battery swapping. Honda is getting into stationary storage devices as well, but instead of batteries, it's using fuel cells. However, these aren't units that you attach to the side of your garage. They're quite big and are capable of powering entire buildings. In a new demonstration project, Honda installed one of these fuel cell storage units in Japan to supply electricity to a data center operated by a division of Mitsubishi. What makes this project a little unique is that Honda will get its hydrogen from a nearby saltwater electrolysis plant where hydrogen is a natural byproduct. Each unit is capable of generating up to 250 kilowatts of power. Up to 4 units can be connected in series for a total output of 1,000 kilowatts, and then multiple sets of those 4 units can be hooked up in parallel for even more power. So they can even be used when the power goes out or as an off-grid solution.
Performance that shines, even in the rain. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Potenza tires, improved grip in wet conditions.
For the last week, we've been reporting on the second quarter earnings of automakers, and without exception, every one of them reported lower profits, and pretty much all of them blamed the tariffs. But how are the other parts of the industry doing, like automotive suppliers and dealers? Let's take a look at 3 suppliers, BorgWarner, Magna, and Aptiv, who just reported their earnings. BorgWarner's revenue was about the same as last year, but its net income dropped 26%. It expects the second half to be better based on new orders for more turbochargers and hybrid technology from automakers in the Americas and Europe, while in China, it expects more orders of inverters, electric motors, and EV differentials. Investors liked what they heard, and the stock was up almost 2%. Magna saw its revenue fall 3% because it phased out assembly of the Jaguar E-Pace and I-Pace at its Steyr assembly plant in Austria. But its net profit shot up 21%, exceeding the company's own expectations. Profits rose thanks to higher productivity, but also because the US dollar weakened. And as Magna converted sales that were conducted in foreign currency back into dollars, it ended up with more dollars. Even so, its stock dropped 2.7% this week. Aptiv saw its sales rise 3%, though if you take out the effects of the weaker dollar, it was really up 2%. While it posted record operating profits, Aptiv's net profit fell 58%, and it warns that the third quarter will be slightly worse due to the U.S. tariffs. Its stock dropped over 5% on the news. So it's kind of a mixed bag for suppliers, or at least these suppliers. Now, let's take a look at the retailers. Autonation sold over 65,000 vehicles in the second quarter, up nearly 8% from last year. Its revenues also rose 8% to almost $7 billion. But its operating and net profits both fell dramatically due to several charges that it had to take. Even though those were non-cash charges and the underlying business is healthy, investors didn't like the numbers and the stock is down 6% this week. Penske Automotive sold over 112,600 vehicles, but that was down 11%, mainly because of a drop in the UK, but US sales were down as well. Revenue was flat at $7.6 billion, but both operating profit and net income were up 4%. Even so, investors didn't like the numbers, and the stock is down more than 4% this week. Meanwhile, Carvana, which only sells used cars using a direct sales model, had a fantastic quarter. It sold over 143,000 vehicles, up 41%. Revenue hit $4.8 billion, up 42%. Its operating profit hit $511 million, up 97%. And its net profit shot up 5 times to $308 million. Investors love the news, and the stock shot up 42% this week. So, what can we read into all these numbers? With the exception of Carvana and BorgWarner, investors pretty much gave the thumbs down to suppliers and retailers. But that's a wrap for this show. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope that you have a great weekend.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. And by
Developing today's vehicles. Issues can happen in an instant. When's the best time to solve a problem? The minute you know you have one. Meet Wireless Neovi Cloud, your secure, off-the-shelf solution empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless Neovi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless Neovi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Wards is the industry leader for news, data, and analysis. That's why companies across the globe subscribe to our premium service, maybe even your own. Log in for subscriber access now. Check your company's intranet for details and rely on wardsauto.com to keep you informed.